sharks. Our fear of sharks has been a much bigger nightmare for them than it has for us. And the Maldives will give us great insight into how important sharks are.
Maldives is an island nation located in the heart of the Indian Ocean with 1,192 coral islands and staggering biodiversity under its turquoise waves. It is a vulnerable country with fragile ecosystems. And since tourism and fisheries are its economic pillars, both of which depend on the quality of the environment, the ocean realm hangs in a delicately critical balance. Here, sharks are integral to keeping the watery realm healthy and tourism booming.
Swimming with sharks is something that cannot be described with words. It's something that you have to experience. A lot of people think that might be scary, but I take people into the water to swim with sharks for a living, and I see the reactions from the people that are the most scared, and most people have a very in the moment, at peace, humbling experience, something that can be actually very addictive, which is why I found myself doing it for a living. I can look back and say what I've experienced in my life is just out of this world. I wouldn't want to do it any other way.
It is strikingly odd how terrified many people are of sharks, mostly due to films like Jaws, who portray them as mindless killing machines. But now, it is recognized just how much trouble sharks are in. Long before the dinosaurs and even the trees, sharks have roamed the ocean for over 400 million years. There are around 500 species and over 35 found in Maldives. But today, a third of all sharks are threatened with extinction, with more than 100 million killed each year. That's almost 200 sharks per minute, caught for the increasing demand for their meat and fins, and accidentally as bycatch. But some people are dedicating their lives to saving sharks, even making a career out of it.
I cannot imagine living in a world where I cannot die with sharks. And I want everyone to see it, not just me, like 2, 3, like hundreds of generations to just see this. If we do not do anything to protect them, then no one is gonna see them after us. The sharks will disappear if we don't do anything about it. And I cannot imagine that world. I don't want to imagine that world.
No one wants to live in a world without lions, tigers, or even bears. So why would we want to live in a world without sharks? When sharks are removed from a coral reef ecosystem, it rockets an imbalance in the shark's prey species, giving rise to a big fish boom. The ripple effect is a decline in the small algae-eating fish. And with no one grazing the algae, the overgrowth brings coral disease and death. Ultimately, sharks are indicators of healthy oceans.
This island, this is actually the perfect example of how people and sharks can coexist together. Since we started diving here and since this island started getting the recognition as the shark paradise of the Maldives, people's lives, it changed. The economy, everything, people's thinking, everything just changed for the better. So we have to absolutely start doing something. It starts with you. You are the change. So if you don't do anything, no one is going to.
One of the reasons why with Discover Sharks we bring people to remote locations is because we want to show them the relationship between the locals and the sharks. We want to make sure that this is fruitful for both. When we have a healthy abundance of sharks, that also means a healthy abundance of food, and of course a shark alive is worth lots more than a one dead, and the Maldives is a proof of it.
The Maldives has become a shark haven, having protected them for a decade, and shark tourism is booming.
I'm going to be the first female dive master from this island, and I remember my first encounter with the tigers. I was standing on the edge, and then I saw the tiger just coming up, and I was looking at her, and she just looked at me, and I could just feel a soul, like just staring back at me. And these guys, they've been around forever, and we're in their waters. Like, this is their space.
Being in the water with the tiger sharks was a fascinating and humbling experience. It was very calm, and peering into their eyes, you could see that they're not the monsters that they're portrayed to be.
There's no denying that the world's climate is changing, resulting in increasingly negative impacts on ocean life. Leaving more big fish in the sea locks millions of metric tons of carbon into the deep sea rather than into the atmosphere. Therefore, sharks help buffer the effects of climate change as blue carbon sinks. Sharks are important to coral reefs, and coral reefs are important to sharks. So one can only be healthy if the other is. Therefore, conservation efforts must include considerations for the protection of both. And as the Maldives has shown, it's time to coexist.